This is The Real Chat, where we discuss the real.
From relationships to love.
To all around companionship.
I'm LL.
And I am Sunny.
Let's get to chatting. Yo, what's up, everybody?
Hey.
And welcome to The Real Chat.
Thank y'all so much for joining us for another episode.
And please remember to hit that subscribe button so that we can continue bringing this conversation to you.
Let's get to chatting.
And we're going to do that. And again, I'm joined here by my co-host, Miss Makari Tarpley, my niece from the very prestigious Howard University, HU in the house.
You know.
We're also joined by our dog co-host, Milo.
Hi, Milo.
But so we're gonna take this. So what's that next topic we're talking about?
Yes, today we're talking about age gaps and when does the gap become a whole.
Now, and we're talking about we're taking this from the aspect and view of a Gen Zer in the university, growing her life, developing her life. And, very curious as to what's happening with these youngsters. And in her saying that, I think you're talking about, like, your friends are talking about, they're seniors, but there's a sophomore guy they're interested in. Is that really going to work? Are those guys mature enough? Or vice versa.
Right, yeah.
Even though you'll find out the older you get, the more mature you get, those couple years don't always make such a difference. I think once you get 5 and 10 years, 15 years, but again, as you get older, those come more together too.
Yeah.
You're 50 dating somebody 40, that's not really a thing.
Right.
Because what I mean by that is usually the older you're getting, you've experienced more life. So you bring that experience into the relationship. Now, being, at Howard University or any university and starting a relationship, that is something. But a lot of relationships start when you go away to school. A lot of marriages, a lot of lifelong relationships have started being at a university.
Yeah.
So now, but what you're saying is that age gap, does that age gap become a whole? Explain that.
Yeah, so with a lot of the people I'm around, from the moment I got to Howard, you see all the people, you see the people that you could possibly have interest in or want to make something happen with. But I think for me, I've always felt this like fear in wanting to pursue or be with someone that was significantly older than me, or there was a difference in age. It could be older or younger. I usually stray away if they're younger than me because that just I'm a little nervous for that.
Right, you worried about the maturity?
Yeah, with maturity. Yeah, and then but older was always like, I don't know how that would look. I don't know if that person, the older person, would feel comfortable being with someone of a younger age. So
now we're talking about in that case more than a couple years.
Yeah, saying like, so I was a freshman. For example, if there was someone that was like a senior or a junior, how would that
How would that go? Right.
But then also knowing, like what you said, when we get past these younger years, it doesn't really become an issue, age gaps. You see people have 5, 10, 15-year age gaps in their latter years, and that's okay.
Right.
I don't look at it crazy.
Right.
But why is there such a difference when you're like in this in-between age? Like, of course, when you're in your teen years, like, don't go dating nobody over 18 if you're under 18. Like, it's a little crazy. But when you're 18, between 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, that's kind of like a weird gray area of like, okay, when is it okay to date somebody older? When is it all right to go a little younger?
Right.
And that's just something me and my friends are honestly exploring. Like, I'm in a relationship, but I have so many girlfriends that are like, girl, like, I don't even know if I want to mess with so-and-so because they're younger than me. I don't know if they can handle it. Right. Or I don't know if I want to talk to so-and-so who's a couple years older because I don't know if they would even be interested in me because of that age difference. So it's just something that it's just a gray area. It feels like a gray area that no one really understands how to maneuver, I guess, until we all mature. Right. Because everyone matures at a different time. Right. But there will be a point when we're all in a mature phase where we can do whatever we want. Right. But since we're not all there yet, it's like, okay, what do we do? How do we interact with one another.
So you think you see a lot of that, on campus and your college friends? You think you see a lot of that where they're concerned in that way about those age differences?
Yeah, I see a lot of concern with some of my close friends because in our past episode when we were chatting about is one and done, is that all right? First love. At Howard, there's not a big pool to choose from. So especially if you're looking for people in your grade, there's not a lot of people to go through because there's not plenty of people.
Right.
So
not as many men as there are women.
So my girlfriends will sometimes be like, oh, well, so-and-so a couple years below us is nice and cute. Like, maybe that could work. But they're hesitant because they don't know, would that work? Would that person even have the level of maturity to provide for my girlfriends who are a couple years older? And I honestly don't even know how to steer them in the right direction because I am not in a relationship with an extreme age gap.
Right.
So I don't really know.
Or have that experience as of yet.
Yeah.
Being young, the fact of it is, you haven't had as much experience in relationships, on developing relationships. It's just, because you haven't had the experience, you haven't had the opportunity. Things that you may have had, there are a lot of people who are high school sweethearts. And there are those who go on from high school sweethearts and become husband and wife and love and live successfully their whole lives. But there are also a lot of those high school sweethearts. Like I had a high school sweetheart. Now, our relationship was only maybe a year and a half, 2 years old. And I had a love for her I'll say my love for her was at the maturity level that I could have for loving someone. So it wasn't really high. I was respectful of her. I respected her in that high school relationship. There wasn't other people. I wasn't trying to be over here with this one and over here with that one. Like I said, it was only in our junior year, not into our senior year. But we both, as we were getting ready, we were going to school. She went to Spelman, and I was accepted at Howard, but she was hoping that I would apply to Morehouse, and be across the street. And I was like, no, that ain't how this is going. I love you as far as what I know love is, but I want to go do what I want to do. You need to go do what you want to do. I said, something about it, not saying I was completely against it, but I was like, I'm already accepted Howard. Why am I going to apply to Spelman?
Right.
That's where you want to be. That's great. We can, we'll come see each other, spring break, all that kind of stuff. But I got to be honest. Soon as I got to campus, in that orientation week, it was just like, yeah, I know I'm in this relationship, but I ain't that serious about this relationship. I see, because I wasn't mature enough to be thinking that, like, this gonna be my wife. That I wasn't there, and I don't think she was there either. But I can't speak for her.
Right.
But just unfortunately, I think fortunately, because we're still friends today. That didn't work, because I got there and I wasn't mature enough, I think, to have. I continued the relationship maybe about 6 months, and a little something happened. I won't get into that, but that ended it like overnight, But it also opened my eyes to say, okay, dude, were you here? And you were open for whatever might come from here too. So it can't be like it's all her fault, or because you were open to whatever opportunities there are here.
Yeah.
You weren't like getting this up. I got me a girl down in Spelman. I'm not doing. No, I won't. I'll be honest. I won't dare.
Yeah.
So, talking about maturity, but again, talking about not having that experience and maturity at that young age, and that's all about growing up and maturing. So you take those lessons and you take them to the next step, to the next level. You learn from them, and you learn what you did wrong, what you did right, mistakes you made, new directions you need to go. You learn from that.
Yeah.
And like I said, some people might get a little heartbroken, but again, as long as you don't curl up in a little ball and pull yourself from society,
right.
you're gonna be all right.
Right.
Yeah. That's just learning, the learning curve.
Yeah.
So as you say, you and your friends, well, not so much you, because you've been able to develop something with somebody closer in age. You all are at the same maturity level. You have the same interest. You care about each other. You have noticed what you feel for each other. Okay, so that's growing. But those others haven't maybe had the chance, and then they're considering, would I like a nice guy in my life? Because I know and women will repeat it over and over again and make sure that we men understand, y'all don't need us. You all want a good man, but you don't need us.
Right.
And if you ain't worth their time, if you're not that good man, if you don't show that you have those qualities, they don't need you. They don't need us. So it goes back to that with your friends. It's like, I would like, but I ain't breaking my neck.
Right.
I ain't going out my way. If they can't show me what I need, you know, I'm gonna keep it moving.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's I have a close friend that is real strict with like what she needs, what she wants, but she is fine testing the waters. That's what I'll say about her. Like, she will look to someone a little bit younger and say, all right, I'm gonna see if they can give me what I need.
Right.
And if they can't, scratch that.
Right.
We're looking somewhere else.
Right.
But I've always admired that about people, is like the ability to try and to not let that knock you down or make you give up on like finding love.
Right.
Because I really do think there's someone for everybody. It's just when it's your time to find them. And when God says that it's your time to find them.
Yeah. It's about faith too.
Yeah.
You know? And hopefully you have that, you know, whoever is out here, because that does play a role. I believe it does, you know, but everybody has their own feelings on that.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know. And then I also wonder with age gaps, like when does it become weird? Because I know if we were talking like, say it was someone who was in their teens and they were talking to someone over 18, then it becomes a little bit like, oh, that's kind of predatory. What's going on?
Yeah, it's like, you know, especially let's just say it's a female who's older and the guy is younger. It's almost like, I mean, you got to be real. She's teaching him, okay? And maybe that's a plus in a way, because maybe he'll mature faster. But she almost is like kind of, I don't want to say playing a mama role, but you know, she is teaching him because she has that maturity. And then again, women generally mature faster than men. So, you know, but I had one of those kind of relationships in high school too. Now, she was a senior, I was a freshman. And because of my immaturity, I didn't see all the signs. And everybody that was my age and older in school, I'm not talking about, you know, guys that weren't there or women that weren't there, but they are observing the situation, saying, no, man, she thinks you're a really good guy, and she wants to see you do your best, and she really likes you. You're but man, I don't even think she's interested in you like that. She couldn't be. Man, what? You know, what you got? And then this woman was so beautiful, so classic, so just, you know, everybody, you know, guys her age, older, you know, if you said Lily, you know, they were like, oh, Lily, oh my God, you know. So, you know, I'm getting all the other stuff from everybody else, and no women ever told me that. They didn't come and say, boy, little boy, she don't want you. None of them said it. But it was all the guys. And of course, you know, 13 years old, she a senior. I'm a freshman, 13, 14, whatever you are as a freshman.
Yeah.
And, but we're spending all this time together. I'm not talking about like intimate time, but like every lunch, you know, cause she had a car, she's driving. She taking me to lunch. She taking me here. She taking me home. She coming to pick me up from home. You know, and when we did eat lunch there at school, she's coming, and it's, you know, a bunch of us eating at the table. But she's coming to the table, her and her friends, they sitting at the same table. And then throughout the day, you know, she see me and she say, hey, Lang, or, you know, we have a little quick conversation before we go to class. But it wasn't, I'm just thinking, this is a really beautiful woman. And she's just being nice to me. So don't get it twisted. Come years later, you know, maybe 4 or 5 years later, I find out that she was interested in me. But because of my immaturity and not being mature enough to see those signs, because she was giving me signs. It's not that she ever came at me and tried to kiss me or anything like that, but all of the attention. And I just took it as, there's no way, you know, she's just being so nice. This is just who she is. There's no way she could be interested in me. But she told me a few years later, she said, if you would only asked, or you would only showed me that you were interested or you understood. And I said, well, that's the problem. But one, I was listening to too many knuckleheads around me, you know, but I also wasn't mature enough. But I think I thought back over that over the years. I said, man, the things I would have learned, she would have schooled homeboy. She'd have taught me, and I think I was already a mature kid, but I think she would have increased that maturity. You know, but again, those are life and relationship lessons. You know, and I don't know how that would have worked out because, like I said, I'm a freshman. She was a senior, and she was the baddest, one of the baddest things around. So you know, which she eventually got tired of me because I'm sure like that, having someone like that at that time, I probably just got enamored and just been all up on them, and you know, I don't know, but you know, it was a life lesson. Life lesson. You know.
So interesting. Love and life.
Love and life.
Love and life.
Yeah. But hey, that's gonna do it for us here today. And to all you folks, that is the Real Chat. Thanks for joining us.
See y'all later.
Have a great day and peace. And we're out. All right, Makar.